All right, we have a full crowd. Frank, Bill, Susan, that guy in the back, Tom, Kathy, Stephen, Helen, Chuck, Larry, Lynn. So, any announcements?
Oh,
No?
Larry and I were just talking, the Rinaldo Museum in Winston-Salem is gonna have an Andrew Wyeth exhibit, February 15th to May 15th.
Where is this?
Andrew Wyeth
Yeah, where?
at the Rinaldo in Winston.
Yeah.
Is that where the other one was?
It's where the Cunningham exhibit was. Anyway, if you're interested, might be nice to do.
Yes, Stephen?
Yeah, Eagles are in at the DM, and I'm going out tomorrow morning. If anybody wants to come, great. If you'd like me to shoot you information on what I'm seeing there, just give me your name or email address, and I'll be happy to update you on that as I find out things.
Well,
Thank you.
I've seen one about this big in the sky, but never had a picture of him, so
Yeah,
be cool.
On a good day, there'll be 2 or 3 dozen, and they're
Wow.
within from here to the wall there.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
I have an anecdote.
I'm sorry?
I have an anecdote to tell.
An anecdote, yes.
I have a friend.
Dote away.
You have a friend, that's the
Yeah, that's it. I have a friend who went to a yard sale, picked up he is a book dealer, and he's passed away now. But he was a book dealer, and he went to a yard sale and picked up a photograph, and he said, "This looks like a Cunningham photograph."
Uh-huh.
And he took the photograph for, I don't know, $1 or something, and took it home and sent it off to Sotheby's, and they said, okay.
Oh,
he did all the
jeez.
research on it, and he sent it off to Sotheby's, and they said, this is very interesting. And they flew somebody down here to look at it, and as I said, he had done all the research, figured out when it was, blah, 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 because he's that way. And they took it back and auctioned it off, and he got $300,000 for it.
Jeez.
My goodness.
Oh, if only those poor people that had the yard sale knew.
Well, I wonder if he ever.
I
Incredible.
feel so guilty.
Last day.
I didn't know that I mean, I
They probably
guess
get a third.
some
Yeah.
photographers can bring that much, like Ansel Adams or somebody.
Yeah, but you know, to have an original, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, an original print,
Anyway,
wow.
Was that in Pittsburgh somewhere? Where?
no, he lives in Carver. He did live in Carver.
But so it was a local.
Well,
it was a
locally.
local sale, like,
Oh, give me the.
yeah.
Where was it
find
found?
that?
Oh, where did he find it? I think he probably found it in Orange County.
Wow.
Okay, let's go, maybe we should do that, do a trip to yard sales.
That is yard sales.
Wow.
The yard sale trip, that'd be fun. And if you see anything that's good, don't say anything.
Yeah. Buy it right quick.
All right, this one. Oh, you had it, and now it's not there.
All right. We get rid of the full screen thing and
It's a nice shot. It's beautiful. I like that.
yeah, we'll get there in a little bit. Oops.
I was just messing around in my backyard, and we have a few
Oh, wow.
oak leaf hydrangeas, and that's what this is. And you know, just looking for wintry type things, and I was thinking, well, you know, winter foliage would be nice, and I was thinking what I'd like to, one of my favorite winter scenes in North Carolina is, you know, dormant grass, a big expansive pasture, and a whole bunch of cedars just scattered throughout there. I just really like that look, and I couldn't find a suitable one, so then I was just, as I say, messing around in my backyard. So that was it's an ISO of 100. I was at, I think at 24 millimeters f4. Might be, no, I think it was more like f6.3, a little more, to have a little more in focus. And 100th of a second. I'm just, of course, handheld, and I just kind of pushed it a little bit in processing. I've been learning more and more in Affinity. I'm really happy with having switched away from, it's way more powerful than Elements, and I think it probably rivals the full-on Photoshop, but there's no subscription, so I've been enjoying it. And I just recently discovered you can do stack photographs in ways that I wasn't aware of too. But
Wow.
Anyway, so.
Good shot, Chuck.
Well, thank you. I like the colors, and I thought about getting rid of that, the
Oops.
stem, but it's too much part, it's too much part of it, and I think it would, so.
It looks good.
But sometimes it bothers me looking at it, other times it's like, well, it's there. But anyway.
The purple.
But my favorite, yeah, I like the purple.
Yeah.
And on the right-hand side there, there's a leaf, and it's one version of that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But the light's coming from below.
Oh, that makes it look like a bouquet.
I like that, yeah. But I also like the laciness of some of the leaves where they have decomposed. Yeah, anyway.
Hey, Chuck,
Yeah.
sometime in Affinity, go to do the HDR, the blending,
Yes.
where you take multiple images and let them blend.
And blend.
Do it with one image and try it.
Okay, all right, yeah, I've
Even with
seen,
one, you get a good result.
Even with one.
Alright.
Some are crazy off, some are just dynamic.
uh-huh,
And what happens when it does process just that one, it gives you like 5 presets just to.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Can I just interrupt for a second? I've started using Affinity again. I've had it, and I just updated it to whatever they do. Didn't cost anything to update it, but I can't remember much week to week and more or less year to year. So I wonder if we could do another class on Affinity,
Affinity?
because you have these great ideas, and so it's the time of my life. But anyway.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in educating us, I'd like to be educated.
Okay, good idea. It tempts me too, I guess, because I need a new edition of Elements, but this is Chuck's 2,
All right.
number 2, and also.
This is at Town Lake Park, which is, one of my favorite haunts. I just love going over there.
Looks frozen.
And it was, of course, that was, it was probably in the teens that morning. It was cold, and I discovered that the gloves that I've been using are insufficient for when it's that cold. They're just light, and I have the fingers cut off of
Yeah.
and they're not warm enough. And so, but anyway, I decided not to buy a new pair of gloves for the 2 or 3 days a year I might use it. But anyway, I discovered some really interesting things about Town Lake Park. When I was over there, there was only one other person. He walked over, he lived in a house adjacent to it, and he pointed out to me there were beavers. There was so much evidence of so much wildlife because of the snow. You could see, I saw a coyote track when I was coming in. That it was obvious it was a coyote track because it looked like a dog track, but there were no human prints around it, so nobody was walking their dog. And he was kind of, the way it was traveling was interesting. And then beavers, there was like a bunch of beavers, and the beavers this was on top of a hill, and they had done a slide down into the water, which is pretty cool. And then there's river otters living there. There's an upper part, this is the lower part of the Town Lake Park, and to my back is the upper part, and in there, there were 2 or 3 river otters, and I got some pictures of them, but they're too far away, and so one of them looks like a shadowy Loch Ness monster kind of thing. So that didn't really. But this one, I just turned and was looking for the beaver slide, and there was a nice light, and I like it how it that arc of light kind of draws your eye into it, makes it a little more depth there, and I kind of didn't know about the trees in front, but I think they're okay. They kind of block your view a little bit. And I took one from down below at the level of the lake, and I think this one I like better. So, but anyway, it was a 320th of a second f8, and it was, I think the ISO of 400 for the ISO.
Oh, shoot.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm deaf. What is the park that you were?
Oh, it's in town, in Pittsburgh. It's Town Lake Park.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's, on the senior center, we did a hike, 2 hikes that day, and we went to Town Lake Park. And it's really quite large. You don't realize it
Yeah.
when you come into it, and it looks like an abandoned, I mean, it's not beautiful, but it's a nice, interesting hike.
Yeah,
Because there's
it's
nothing,
a nice little
no
trail
one's
there.
around.
Wait, where is it, off of 64?
No, it's right down, if you're going past the courthouse,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know where?
Oh,
that
just
is?
down there on the.
Well, you can get,
Yeah.
you can get to it, like, you know where Horton Middle School is.
Yeah.
There's the town has their yard back there, and there's a little parking lot on that side, that's where I go in, because it's closest to my house. But then if you're on the 902 bypass, which goes by, you know where Al's Diner is? If you go on that road, there's a larger parking lot over there.
And
It's a
also
nice little
know-
park.
Yeah.
And there's eagles in there occasionally. I don't know if they're there this time of year or not, because, but I have seen an eagle flying through there.
And
One-
also, no, when you walk around, you can't, you walk around, you can walk 7/8 of the round, and you have to walk all the way back, unless you walk through the woods, which a friend of mine and I did when we were 7/8 of the way there, and we just walked up and ended up on the
Yeah.
road and had to walk back to the park.
But yeah,
So-
you can't, but
so
it's still,
just
it's
know
not
that-
connected, it's still not connected.
Yeah, so you'll get to.
You actually can get lost in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
It's-
thing.
it's a
Been there,
nice-
done that?
So if you're going south on 15501,
Mhm.
it would be off to your right or to your left?
Yes, if you're on 15501 and
87.
you're about a 3/4 of a mile south of the circle, the town, then on your left is Horton Middle School, and on your right is the road that goes, that's, to one of the parking.
Just pretend you're going to Sanford.
What is the name of the road you turned
Isn't
on?
it 87?
87.
Yeah, it's off 87.
Well, 87, yeah,
But I
you're-
mean, the road you
The
turned
little
on.
road, it's a woman's name, I can't remember, but it's the only right-hand turn.
Okay.
And it's it's a town road, and it's marked.
One of the things I like about this, Chuck, is that you get into the dark areas and there's still detail. So nicely done.
Well, thanks.
What time, I don't know if you said, what time of day was that?
It's at sunrise, so it was probably about 7 o'clock, a little bit, 7:30 maybe, something like that.
You guys like to get up.
All right, Bill's up.
Okay, this one is, the first shots now that I've tried with the phone.
Oh, your new fancy front.
Fancy phone.
My fancy fan, no more $50 Samsung. And, this is the Beach Mass Pond in Farrington. I have a path that, right in the backyard that goes to the pond. The numbers that came out of this were that it was,
Jeez.
I shot it at 6.9 millimeters. But what I found out, I did a little investigating, and I found out that what that means, it was an equivalent to a 24 millimeter full frame.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
I'm sitting there saying, okay, now I can start thinking about the images when I look at it. And like with this one here, it came up as a f1.67.
Wow.
So, you would, when it comes to a landscape shot like this, it really doesn't make a difference because everything's going to be in focus because you have this really wide angle.
Yeah.
It did all the stuff itself, so it was like 1/1000th of a second. ISO of 22. So when I started seeing these numbers, this is where I'm going to start really kind of digging into it a little bit. because something like this is just a quick shot. All I did was I warmed it up a little bit, the temperature, just to get, because it was too cold. So you can see where, like that tree in the front there, you'll see the more golden look to it. But that's the only thing that I did to it. And
Yeah, and the snow in the lower right-hand corner looks like that may be warmed up a little bit too. Because it seems like snow really, you know, with that, it just registers blue so much more easily.
yeah.
Right. Now, what's that out there on the lake? That's
On the bench?
Bob Dylan playing the guitar.
Well, that's exactly what I thought, Frank. It looked like a person. And it does look like it's,
That's one of Forrest Greenslade's little statues or something.
Oh, okay, all
I
right.
imagine it's gotta be him, because he's got them all over the path.
Interesting.
Creekwood Trail.
If I fell out of bed, I'd end up there.
well, it's sharpest attack. It really is.
Amazing, oh, wow.
Now, this one, I took a whole different perspective to it. Again, I just let it rip by itself. Same settings, pretty much, the 6.9 millimeter, f 1.67. But what's interesting is, if you looked at Chuck's first image, and he shot that at 6.3, which means has more depth of field than my
Right.
1.67. But his depth of field is nice. His leaves fell off very quickly in front and in back. Where here, everything's sharp. It's like, that's where I now see the downfall.
Well, I
I
don't know how,
have to do more
but, you know, I
about
think
the
the reason why mine was, had just been reading that, you know, if you shoot with a wide angle, take advantage of getting really close to something.
Then you should get even
Yeah,
more,
then you get the drop off, you know.
even faster. And this, I was right up on it.
Bill, the iPhone has a portrait selection. Do you have that on that phone? That would give you what I think you're after. Wouldn't be a portrait, but it does have a really shallow depth of field.
Yeah, and that's the things that this brought up, that I have to learn these different things.
Yeah.
To see if I can kind of get it closer to looking like the Z8.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how you just change your one piece of, well, your main piece of equipment, the camera, and you have to rethink how you photograph.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, lifetime learning, but
The snow in the front, the leaves are sharp, and
absolutely.
I would have suspected that that vertical branch back there would have started falling off, but, you know, it took probably 100 feet back before the center right there, before it really fell off.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the phone.
What is it?
It's a Pixel 9 Pro XL.
All right, Stephen.
Yeah, so that's a shot from over at Pungo National Wildlife Refuge, where this time of year there's maybe 25,000 tundra swans. Fish geese are, and about the same number of snow geese. You know, the plus of that many of anything is that you don't have to wait long for a shot to appear. I was thinking, I recently made a shot of a red-tailed hawk from my yard that I liked, but it took me maybe an hour sitting there with my eyes glued to to get it. And here, you know, anywhere you look, there's, you know, 150 swans or geese in the air, and so you just kind of pick out, you know, what grouping you like and shoot away, and in a matter of, you know, moments, you got, you know, something that you're looking for.
Where was this again?
Very nice.
It's at Pungo National Wildlife Refuge.
Okay.
Yeah. This time of year, it's just quite remarkable. But I don't think I have one of those shots I'm describing in the set, but they'll come into an area up fairly close to where you'll come into the visitor center. And the reason they're there is because they plowed under corn. Corn grew from here, the geese and the tundra swans are down here, and so they want to plow down and get at it. But they'll come in there every evening. And, you know, we're talking 25, 30,000 birds coming in, and they'll just blanket the sky. I think I have one there that's just, maybe, I'm trying to think if I included one of those. But you can get some pretty remarkable shots.
Well, the moon does it for this
Yeah,
one.
I think that the backdrop of the moon, really.
Yeah.
The moon here, I shot on from this side, which kept me from shooting sunset shots, but I did get to shoot the moon shots. I had some sunset shots from before. And I wanted to, I knew there was a full moon coming up, and I wanted to.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Yeah, really nice.
yeah.
Perfect placement of that one in the middle there, right
Yep.
against the moon.
Looks
I
like they're,
like how you have the moon off to the right, give it a little space there, you know, to the left, so that
yeah.
Yeah, right, it's not dead
so-called
center.
breathing. And what when you processed it, it's really painterly, you know. Did you do something specific with colors or, you know, something like that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember. Well, I cheated as much as I could, as I did, which in this case involved running it through, what the hell, the topaz.
Yeah.
And,
It is
you know, what I
pretty
had
good.
was a little bit too much fuzziness in the geese.
So
and
sharpening.
Yeah, that took care of that, and, you know, they're not sharp, but then I didn't want it sharp. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good,
But it was a little bit too blurry in the other, and that took care of that problem.
it's very nice.
What's that,
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
what's that little, looks
Like a cross.
a little rectangle, but right above the moon?
Oh. Oh, come on, Mike. It doesn't, there we go.
Yeah, it's an artifact, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. I didn't like it either, but there it was. And,
Is it a reflection or something?
yeah, I think it's a reflection, probably, but I didn't find any way of getting it out of there without the efforts to get it out of there made it look worse than leaving it
Yeah.
in.
Well, and I think it has to be blown up pretty large to see it, but it's a great photo. And this one,
Yeah, that's another kind of, you know, where
well, I don't see
you
it.
know, you're seeing enough swans that you can pick out groupings that you know you might want to take a picture of. That's not shot all that fast, probably about 1,000th of a second. With birds that size, you know, smaller birds you got to shoot faster. You know, shooting little guys would be 3,000th of a second on up. But with these guys, 1,000th or so seemed to be okay. And on the other hand, I tend to shoot these, that's probably about an F-14 there, because there's going to be, you know, some front and backness
Yeah.
to one of these groupings, and so the depth of field allows you to get sharpness, you know, when there is that depth difference in there. But again, it's just such an easy place to get nice shots because there are a million opportunities to do that.
How do they keep from running into each other? They look
They
so,
got great radar.
they look so close.
I like
Yeah.
you got the two guys down here on the
Yeah.
right, and the
Yeah.
two, they're all in perfect formation, like mirrors of each other.
Yeah,
They copied something.
and, you know,
The lower guy saying, now follow me.
Did you clone them? No.
and you know, why they do it, I guess so they don't run into each other, basically. But,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
fly in densities that are much denser than this without, you know,
Yeah.
falling to the ground in tumble heaps.
Well, that one's great too, Stephen.
A lot of special geese in Farrington right now.
Boy,
Yeah, that's over on the Outer Banks, the Key Island
Key Island, yeah.
refuge. And there really weren't a lot of birds there. These guys happened to be there and happened to be in a good place, lighting-wise, so I grabbed it. But that varies a lot in the wintertime. Sometimes you'll be over there and it's just hundreds of birds, and sometimes, there'll be hundreds of birds, but there may be not thousands of birds. And,
This one needs to go to a magazine,
I
Stephen.
love the water in front of that, it's gorgeous.
yeah, I
Did
thought,
you hear what Mike said?
I didn't, I'm sorry.
This one needs to go to a magazine.
Yeah, right.
They're pretty
Send it
tough,
to the ornithology
pretty
department
pairing there, yeah.
at Cornell, they love it.
Well, 3 good ones, but this one takes the win.
What are they, just two different birds or the same bird?
It's a great egret and a white ibis. The white ibis is the one on the left with the red bill.
The red.
Yeah.
Reflection, oh, they're great.
And the other one is
A great egret. And the great egrets, the ones that we'll have here in the late summer, you'll see them around, all the lakes. The ibises don't get over here, except very rarely.
Well,
I used to have them in my backyard in Florida. I
Uh-huh,
could
yeah.
walk the whole perimeter of the backyard looking
Yeah.
for bugs and lizards and we had one called Elvis.
Beautiful.
well done, Stephen.
yeah.
Yes, Larry.
So, my grandchildren are working on gingerbread houses, and that is real winter.
Yeah.
And they have their little bowls of different things.
The
to-
palette, the
Their
palette.
palette, right. And my daughter bakes gingerbread for this purpose. So, I know, it's crazy, right?
Do you keep them?
No,
Eat them?
no, I mean, there's not glue holding the house together, but there's a lot of,
Like icing.
icing, yeah, but real thick, so that the houses,
It's hard to get them, like, my grandkids were doing some, and it's hard to get them to do right.
Yeah.
yeah,
They
so
fall apart easily.
they do, so you have to let them sit for quite a while. And the kids are anxious to work on them right away, so you gotta distract
Come
them.
back.
So, and then the next one, there's one of the finished products. No, that's not it.
Wow.
Come on.
There's 3 of them. That's it.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the finished products. And I
That's so
tried, I was gonna call Tom because I was using that stupid brush and I was screwing it up. I mean, blackening out the back.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, and you can see I chipped one of that's not a chip on the.
Oh, I see it.
That's the brush. And I couldn't figure out how to get rid of that without having to start all over again. So I just said, well, you guys are forgiving, so.
Well, it's one of those things that,
On the spray bar, you do Control Z.
Control C.
Control Z, and it does it takes away the last thing you did.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Maneuver.
Control Z?
yeah.
Okay, I was gonna call Tom, because I figured he would.
Oh, come in.
Control Z is your friend.
Control
But
Z.
Larry, if you don't say anything, nobody's gonna see it.
But I thought I'd bring it out, because someone's gonna say something. But it's really hard to get around those little circles on the tray.
Yeah,
I was really trying, I was just too, I don't do well in situations like that. I just say screw it.
well, I'm sorry I got these in the wrong order. Always tell me which order, because I looked at this one and I thought it was somewhere
Okay,
in
this is a
between.
story. Okay, this is a story. There's a hotel in Portland called the Benson Hotel. And it's an old hotel, but it's run by like a Marriott type of thing, but it's an old hotel, but it's beautiful, it used to be the Primo Hotel in downtown Portland. And for the past 30 years, there's a pastry chef who's also an architect, comes and does a design. And we got there towards the end of the time frame, because usually there's hundreds of people waiting for this guy's design. then I'm gonna tell you a story about this. So this is called the ELTZ Castle, and it's located in Germany, built about 850 years ago. Survived all wars, it survived everything over that period of time because it's almost impossible to get to, because it's literally in the mountains. So this also inspired the Disney movie Cinderella. They used the castle, the Ertz Castle, not this, but the Ertz Castle they used to create, Disneyland. So this is what it's made out of. You ready? 150 pounds of homemade gingerbread, 50 pounds of marzipan, 20 pounds of chocolate, 10 pounds of Rice Krispies, which are the mountain, and buckets of icing. So if you buckets of icing, and if you enlarge it, you'll see that there's like little things in the trees, and it's really cute the way they put it together. But that's a massive gingerbread house.
Incredible.
But the sharpness, I mean,
Hours it
Yeah, I was gonna
took.
say, did he say how long it takes him to put this
No,
together?
but this is his 30th year in building. I mean, he does amazing works, and I read about it before we were there in December, and I said, oh, you really have to go to this. And that day, it was sunny. I mean, sunny in Portland in the winter, never happens. So we walked all around, and we went to the Benson, and took the kids out to lunch, and it was a great day. But this was amazing. I said, this has to go to the Winter Challenge.
I'm sure.
I wonder if those twigs are edible or something, or if they're just twigs.
I have no idea.
I want them to be edible.
He has little scarves around trees, and he has little things that the kids would love.
well,
just
look at
spot.
the detail on the wreaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and I said, couldn't hear, but it's amazing how sharp this is, even this blown up.
And that's a phone. Took it with my phone.
What are we doing with these cameras?
Oh, yeah, with the phone.
You see this?
And I can't give you the detail because I didn't really do too much to it. I darkened it a little bit so you could see. But the background's painted, of course.
Yeah.
And,
Whoops.
but I saw pictures of this on YouTube at the Benson Hotel. And when they first came up, and it was packed with people. I mean, it's in the lobby of the hotel, and you couldn't get through. When we were there were just 2 people.
Did they charge?
No, I mean, they've had this for years, obviously,
Timing.
for 30 years.
I wonder what they do with it after the kind of.
Trash heap,
That's what I was
the
wondering.
trash heap.
I thought maybe they'd get a couple gallons of milk and get people in there.
Feed it to people.
Well, this was a good way to finish it up, Larry. I'm sorry I got him out of order, but this,
The Elks Castle.
yeah, incredible. Thank you.
ELTZ.
ELTs.
And it's near, if you're interested, it's near Koblenz.
Oh,
No, out
Oh, in Germany, the real castle, the actual castle, yeah.
in Asheville at that Omni Hotel, they have a gingerbread contest every year. I think later on, towards the end of December. And we were out there one year, but we got there after it was all over, but we saw all of the different ones people had produced. Amazing. The intricacy and the detail in these,
The Carolina Inn also has this in the winter. They have a gingerbread. Carolina Inn.
yeah, they do too.
This was the first
Didn't
year,
know. I didn't
good
know
old
that.
Pittsburgh at the Ag Center had one, and I went to it, I took some pictures on my phone, and I think they plan to publicize it some more. So, it was kind of sweet.
I heard conflict, I was gonna.
Yeah, it was sweet, and some of the people who made them were.
Well, that's a good word for it, sweet.
Yeah.
20 pounds of chocolate. Okay.
All right, Frank's up.
Okay, the day that it snowed, I wanted to get this holly tree we have outside with the snow on it, but it went away too fast. So then I snuck out in the morning and I took a spray bottle and sprayed water.
Cheat.
Trying to get it captured in
What a good
the
idea.
berries were captured in the ice, and I did get some of it, but the problem was if I waited too long, as soon as that sun came out, it started melting.
Yeah.
So after, I think it was the third day, I went out and I did a couple of treatments, and I was able to get this. And at first, I didn't like that stem coming down, but like Chuck, the more I looked at it, I said, you know what, it's okay, I'm gonna leave it there.
It looks like a pine needle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Sometimes I think in a photograph, to have something that shouldn't be, you know, that you're not quite sure, kind of makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
In a funny way.
Particularly when you're faking it, you want to do that.
But, yeah, so that was taken, at 100, let's see, is that the right one? Yeah. Yeah, 133 millimeter, 1/640th of a second. It was at ISO 800, and it was at f9. But I wasn't happy, and on the berries on the left looked a little blurred, but I don't know if that's because.
no, it's the ice, it's the ice.
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
because I thought at f9, I should definitely get both
You
of
just
those
sprayed
in
it
there.
too much.
Well, what a good idea, Frank. I mean, you know, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
Using.
Yeah, because
a
the,
spray bottle.
yeah, possibly after a rain, but, you know, with the snow, it was just gone so fast.
Yeah.
With us, you know, where we are in the village, it didn't last, it was gone.
Except on my front walk.
Yeah,
Well, if you think about food photography, the staging they do for that, I mean, you see a beautiful steak with the grill streaks on it, and you then learn that they took a rod that was hot and burned it in like anyway, so what you did was perfectly right.
you can do it, you know, with any kind of plant,
Yeah.
especially with the sun reflecting off of it.
That sounds nice.
This, I went back into the archives, this was taken a couple of years ago up in Quebec for their winter carnival. And I just, when I was walking by, I just loved the ice sculpture on the lower left, the trees with the lights in them, and then the character, Bonamy, I think his name is like a folklore up there.
Was this
And
in
they had
Quebec?
him set right in the center of the tree.
Was that in Quebec City?
Yeah. That was in the, I think it was in the upper part, not down in the lower. Because all of the activities for carnival go on up in the upper part. So, but it was nice, there was nobody around, so I was able to get a nice picture with them and the lights. The only thing I had to do was the light in the ice sculpture was burnt a little bit, so I had to take that back. And then increase take out the shadows in the tree. And that was 41 millimeter at 1/200th of a second and f4, and it was at ISO 2000. So I did, you know, just decrease the noise a little bit. But I suppose I probably could have increased the saturation, but I kind of liked it the way it was.
No, it's a good shot.
Yeah, nice.
Beautiful.
It's a great place to go. It's amazing the amount of snow you have there.
Take your boots.
Yep.
All right, Helen's up. And
I don't know what it is about cameras and the orange. Those were very medium orange Kalancha balloons. And it pulled out the yellow and the red. And I couldn't make Affinity do anything. Tried to get the orange border, couldn't even really get an orange border. But anyway, I had fun with it. That is a Kalancha. They only bloom in the winter, so I thought it was kind of appropriate.
Yeah.
well, the border is brighter on screen than it is on my laptop. But
If I have time, I will try to redo the border. It's too wide and I didn't like it, but that's natural lighting, and I was using my Sony on that.
And what,
Is that
so the background,
Inside,
Inside?
how did you do the background? Is that,
again, the colors are all off. That is a wall,
okay,
and the wall is a
Wow.
greeny taupe.
Wow.
So why these colors keep coming off peculiarly is a puzzle to me.
Well, but the way this one came out is perfect, I think. And I think all three have
I liked it, but I just don't understand, because because sometime it's gonna, I'm afraid, bite me in the butt, because the colors are just,
Well, I know in the Elements, when I used that, I used to be able to choose kind of a style of color, you know? And there were like 4 or 5 choices, but I don't do that. I don't know if that's available in Affinity in some way that I don't know about or not.
it is, but
Yeah.
it seems to just come out of the camera that way, which I
Yeah.
don't understand. And I'm using the RGB, whatever, the standard,
Color
um, color.
Yeah.
So there's, yeah, that's what, so there's no red.
Well, would changing white balance change that background?
I'll try it, I
And white.
bet.
Or HSL,
It may change too many of the colors, but
One of the nice things that more recent editions of Lightroom is you'll have a dot, you can put the dot on any color that you want. And then you can change just that color that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
put the dot on. So you could, do 6 different color changes in there and would apply only to the ones that
I
were.
think there's a way to do that in Affinity too.
Yeah,
but I
there
don't know how
is,
to do but
it just bothers me that I can't do it right.
Right
Like
on,
on the
yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, don't,
Can't imagine how
you're smarter than your camera,
It's- that- My wall, people think is green, it's not, it's a taupey gray, but it's a
It looks
greeny
perfect.
taupey
Well,
gray.
But it's
Yeah.
a nice picture.
don't overthink
It
it.
looked like what it
I
was
like
there,
this
but
picture
it's nice.
a lot.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Um,
Oh, that's nice.
This is, I really, really like this one especially, Helen.
Okay, what that is my bird bath turns over and I flipped out the core of the ice. And it lay on the front of my house and I thought, well, I can do something with this. So I took it someplace and put it on a tarp.
Yeah, you can see the grain on the tar. That's,
Blurred it as much as I could.
Yeah,
That's a cell phone shot.
Oh, wow.
Did I send you the other one so you'll know the third one?
are you ready for that one?
Yeah. That's what it came from. I just thought the close-up was
Much
Oh,
better.
I agree.
more interesting, but I
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
the leaves and junk were stuck.
2 frozen bagels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just-
The close-ups
you are
was-
smarter than your camera, aren't you?
I really like that tarp for the background.
The tarp's great, what a
Yeah.
good idea.
I used the cell phone because I thought, well, I was just gonna compose it with the cell phone and see if I like it. And when I looked at the shots, I said, why bother to go back out there with it? They're from Sony, these are fine, so.
When I looked at these, the thought I had, Helen, was your game has really gone up with that new Sony. And guess what?
Guess what? No, I just couldn't see the use of going out there with
Yeah,
a
all three,
tripod and the whole 9 yards. When I thought they looked pretty good.
both of these are really, really nice.
I did use Topaz just to selectively sharpen the tulip seed pods, tulip tree seed pods. The ice was fuzzy and I just left it fuzzy.
Nicely done.
Yeah, very nice.
Tom's up. Speaking of, and you need to start printing these and doing something with them, because these are too good for not people to see them. This is incredible.
It's a mud puddle in our driveway. And they the car had run over it a few times and broke it, and then some of the mud would come up. And so in post, I just, emphasized the color of the mud. And I decided to put some of the gravel in.
It's a piece of art.
It's great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And in saying what I just said about getting these photos out, it's getting close to April.
Yes,
We have a tradition in April
here,
here. We need to do another show.
What about, is there any chance at the plant in June, you said?
No, I checked into it and, they're not, they're hiring a manager, we're
Yeah.
all, they put somebody in for like 6 months and she's like, what? They're done with it.
I think this is, F 1.8 at, 1/122. And nothing in particular.
It looks like a slice of a mineral.
It does.
Like a mineral rock.
Like a geode kind of?
Yeah.
well, the gravel's
Yeah, I went
great.
back and forth with them for a while, it was really hard to get her to get back to me. And then finally she said, we're done with this, we're hiring somebody else, not gonna deal with it.
I was in Mosaic. I think the address was 120. It's just an office building, basically. But they have stuff from Chapel Hill Camera Club right now. So that's another place to think about. I don't know what their rules are or anything, but in Chatham Artist Guild, actually I said Chapel Hill. Most of it was from Izquierdo, but I think it was put up by the Artist Guild. But this is a terrific shot.
This is. So this one, yeah, I was driving down the road and, taking off before the windshield had really thawed out. And this appeared on my windshield, and I thought, oh, look at that.
You take it while moving?
I was gliding.
Gliding.
Was it that color, you changed the color?
That color is the sky.
Really?
I probably made it a little darker.
Little saturation.
Well, it's amazing that you didn't get artifacts from the windshield itself, but,
Well, there were some schmutz on there, but I took that out.
oh, the schmutzbrüch.
It looks like some sort of
Because Affinity does have
drawing.
Yes. Yeah, so, but I found, like it's interesting, Alice said, well, why does the frost, why doesn't it go all the way up? Oh, incidentally, those lines are spider webs that were on the windshield.
Well, look, they're perfect triangles in there.
Yes.
Why are they so, they're straight?
Yeah, I must have driven through a spider web,
Oh.
and it was because later on, shortly thereafter, minutes later, it thawed out, of course. And but I could see these spider webs or some kind of webs on it.
Jeez.
I never get patterns like that on my windshield.
Well, I know. I was like, I stopped the car and pulled out my
Yeah,
phone and
It's
Sure,
awesome.
of course.
yeah.
And the truck behind you didn't mind that.
That was a little random.
Yeah.
There's something physically interesting about it that frost must have something gravitational pull because I know frost attaches to things. So the frost was attaching to the spider webs, but drawing it away from the center. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
Some sort of
Yeah, so
attraction.
crystals grow,
Yeah.
they are accreting to the,
There's some kind of thing about crystal growth there that somebody smarter could.
And we have a lot of triangles in that picture.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Well,
Very nice.
Anyway, it was. I was like, oh, look at that, the webs work.
incredible.
Telephone.
All right, Susan.
Oh,
That has some mood.
So this was the previous, not the last snowstorm, but the previous one. There was a lot of ice on my pond, and so I went walking around the pond. And actually, I did get a picture with my phone, but I didn't include that. But then I went and got my camera. So this was just ice formation on the pond, and you can see the reflection of the trees.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What time of the day?
It was at, okay, yeah, because that was what was, it was at, 3:20 in the afternoon. So there was some sun, there was an FA 1/200 of a second, ISO 141 millimeters.
F8?
F8, yeah, and I just did a little bit of cropping. I usually process it raw, so I may have darkened it just a little bit.
That's what's important too, is the time of day that you take something like this. If you took it at noontime,
Right,
it would have been all washed out.
actually,
Yeah,
I'll
right.
show you something with the next picture, but yeah, that's what I noticed, that you have the sun, coming on the
You've
pond.
got so many shadows in there that you really don't recognize from just looking at it, but that's what's.
Yeah.
creating that-
That's what's lighting the ice.
Yeah, great.
Oh, gosh.
So this one was after the second snowstorm, once again, it was the pond. And, I did, use haze removal, and it made it a little bit, it brought out more color. But this one was at 4:45 in the afternoon, and actually, what Bill's saying was, I went a couple days later at the wrong time, and none of it came out like this, but again, this is just the pond, and it just,
It looks extraterrestrial.
It does.
Yeah,
it just does these things, so there's these little spider things all over the pond.
What is it?
Looks like a sci-fi movie.
Somebody threw a rock on the ice, I bet.
The cracks going out from
It's
the,
just cracks,
And then every
they're all over, actually, they're all over the pond, I don't know, I mean,
And this is your pond.
this is my pond,
This is Susan's pond.
Susan's pond.
On Susan's pond. On Susan's
Right,
way.
right. But it was a 455 FA, 140 per second, ISO 320, 23 millimeters, and I did some haze removal, and,
that's great.
Hey, Mike, crop it back down there when you had it, just so you can only see the
spiders.
The
spiders.
aliens, yeah.
Anyway.
I think I would use the back one because you can see the whole thing.
and you know, even the way behind the second
Oh.
spider, the way that formation, it almost
Yeah.
looks like a wave. I
Uh-huh.
don't
Yeah,
know.
it does.
Yeah, it's like a,
It's just what the pond is doing.
maybe that's a tsunami and that's what caused the cracking.
Heaving up with
Oh, I
change
can
of
see
temperature,
monsters
yeah,
from-
or change of temperature. Gosh, that's gorgeous.
Nice. All right, Lynn.
You're so good.
Well, 3 guesses where that is. So I was out walking a dog and had my phone with me. That was,
This is the phone day.
yeah. So 24 millimeters, f 1.78. Oh, this is cool. 11,620th of a second.
Wow.
ISO 100.
11,000?
That's what it was, yeah,
Needed to stop.
Was this a phone?
with my phone. I cropped this because on the right side up in the sky, there was this line and I thought, what is it? And it was a tendril of the grass that was close to me
Oh, okay.
and it looked like it, so anyway, I cropped it out.
I like that, the barbed wire,
And like the path pulling you off to
yeah.
the left there, you know, your eye just goes along back there.
Anyway,
Oh,
This is great.
so
Confusion.
in the Camdens where there have been tree roots that have been uprooting pieces of cement walkway,
Bricks.
they have
Yeah.
replaced them with brick. So that's why you get these interesting lines in there, is because this is on brick. And of course, the imprint of my feet.
Going in different directions.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, pigeon feet.
That's as the dog dragged you in the other direction.
That's true. Let's see. That was basically the same The ISO was only 64.
You can read the brand of shoes.
Okay,
Yeah.
anyway.
I like that one.
Well, I have a couple of quickies. They're both from the archives. The title for this one was "Boredom is Spelled ICE." It was out of a window on the second floor of my house back in Oklahoma. Somewhat abstract. You can actually see the driveway in that one darker spot. But
Oh, yeah.
and this one I labeled "Fun with Urea." Do you know what urea is?
Yeah.
This was on a sidewalk outside of where I was working. Somebody dropped a piece of paper, and that was the result of it. But anyway, well,
It's just that you get cold just looking at that.
It's cool.
Really unusual. Can you zoom in on that one? Wow. Wow, look at the eyes. Look how sharp that is.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And that was probably not with a phone.
you know, I think it was. I should have looked, but I didn't think about it. It may have been, because wouldn't ordinarily carry a camera to work. So I bet it was with my phone.
When they weren't so good.
Okay, Kathy is going to give us a little.
Oh,
Do you want to talk a little bit about it
No.
before we get to it?
no, this is just very short.
Okay.
Yeah, go
Do you want
ahead.
me to go to the picture
Yeah,
though?
go ahead, yeah. Nothing really clicked for me, for winter. But maybe some of you saw this yesterday in the New York Times. This was accompanied an article about wildlife moving into the major cities in the country. So there's a coyote. I just thought it was a great shot, and I showed it to Susan yesterday. She liked it. Don't know where the city is. It wasn't credited. Maybe it's New York. Maybe it's Central Park. I don't know. But I took a few shots of my own. They were kind of boring, and I thought if I'm bored with them, I want to share them with you.
Not always the case.
So anyway, that was it. I just thought I'd do a show and tell.
I've heard of that from a number of different sources, and I remember somebody saying it, and they were walking home to their hotel in New York, and there was a coyote right out on the street.
They live in Manhattan.
Yeah, they're all over.
They're all over.
Well,
You
they're
guys
all,
have probably all heard. There was with the same article, there's actually a video of a mountain lion walking through a town right down Main Street in some town in California. Like anyway, I just love the lighting, the snow.
it looks like a painting.
And
It's not good.
you can't set that up, you know? That person was just out there. I just thought it
Yeah,
was
they
a
must have
nice
been taking
shot.
pictures of this.
Probably, yeah.
And then
It's
I
amazing.
mean, you can't,
Amazing shot.
Yeah.
unless you rented a coyote.
Yeah, would a future meeting, or as a challenge, is to bring a picture that inspires you that you didn't take.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a show and tell.
Good idea.
It's like that Boston Marathon bombing that I sent out a long time ago. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody read Dean Koontz books?
I have.
This for some, and I just finished one, so maybe that's where it comes from. But this looks like covers for some of his books. Has a lot of dogs and other animals in it. But yeah, the idea of a picture you admire would be a good one.
I
So-
admire that one that the guy bought for $1 and got 300,000 for. So,
Also, if
How
anybody,
about favorites?
there's a photographer, a photojournalist who just intrigues me. Her name is Lindsay Adario. And I have, well, actually, thanks to Kathy, I have 2 of her books, the same book. But if anybody is interested in reading her autobiography, and it has pictures in there. And
Oh, okay.
she's a war journalist, so if somebody is interested, I can bring the book next time, if anybody else might want to borrow it. But it's just amazing, it has her photographs in it, and she's a good writer.
How do you spell her last name?
Addario. She did photographs for the New York Times. She's worked for a lot of places, and it's interesting because she also writes about these different photographers, these war journalists you've probably heard of, and you kind of get a sense of how they're all like friends and really form kind of a family, and it's just an amazing book, and it has her pictures too.
Wow.
Takes a lot of guts.
This was in the New York Times?
Yeah,
How did you, I mean, a
you can
newspaper?
download it,
Oh, okay.
I just downloaded it.
Oh, okay, I see, I'm thinking New York Times as being a thing on newsprint.
The great.
How vintage.
Is this article recent, or?
Yeah, it's yesterday, it's Margaret Rankle.
Oh,
Anybody read her column?
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Well, yet another good meeting, and the next challenge is,
Transportation. That's February 11th.
okay,
Yeah.
well,
Speaking of transportation, I don't know if anybody's been out to the Transportation Museum in Connecticut. That's a great place to go to. Because not only do they have trains, but they have one whole huge building with different automobiles.
That's in Salisbury, right?
Things like that.